You're now watching two old farts making noises. Welcome to Canadian Art Today with your host, Paul Constable.
There you are. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, how are you doing this week?
Not bad. How is the weather in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, it's snowy. Ready for Halloween? Why not? It's just the way it is. Life
Why?
is just, yeah. We had a good run. You can't say that. We had some good weather, and we had no major disasters as weather-wise here anyway. But no, it was good. We have
Well,
for everybody to know, this is our part two show, and this one is the gallery's perspective on potential artists that are knocking on their doors. And I've got Joanne Poluch with us today again to help us understand this a little bit clearer for an artist as to how, last show was on how to approach the gallery, and now the gallery is who are they looking for? Like, what are they really looking for in an artist? Now, Joanne is an art coach and art consultant with Remarque Art Consulting, and all her contact information is on our site and on the show as well. Um, let's just kind of get right into what we're doing here. What does an art gallery look for in an artist? I guess let's just start with that. Answer the question that's just written right up there. How do we start from
okay.
the gallery's perspective? I guess.
Okay. So, as a lead in, Paul, I do want to say that I spent considerable time this summer in visiting many, many art galleries in Southern Ontario. And that each gallery, of course, has a different flavor, a different mandate, a different mission. But the bottom line is it's a business, and it is a tough business to be in, particularly in this economic market that we're in. So artists need to appreciate from a gallery's point of view that they want to have their best foot forward in the public. So what is the most important thing a gallery owner is going to look for? First of all, the artwork has to be superb. It has to be authentic. It has to be unique. It has to be accomplished. It has to be professional looking. So, what is going to set you apart from all the other artists that they get submissions for? There has to be something there that catches the attention of the gallery owner, and that is that your work stands out. And so I cannot stress this enough in the relationship between an artist and a gallery is that gallery artists need to understand they are going to be very picky. They're going to only take in work that they think is going to fit their mandate in order to sell to their clients. So, an artist needs to appreciate that a gallery is not going to take in abstracted work if they sell traditional Canadian landscape. So the onus is on the artist to do their homework, to understand what a gallery is all about. What's their mission? What do they want? Um, if I was a gallery owner, I would be picky too. It's tough to sell these days in the market, and so above all, I can only stress that your artwork needs to be obsessively high quality. And
So does a
I,
gallery? Sorry.
pardon me.
So does the gallery look to say a big name for an artist to be part of their gallery, or does that, if they still produce not the right kind of work, would still say no to that person?
I would say that hopefully a gallery owner is open minded to take a look at work that perhaps they haven't seen before. Now, not all galleries are gallery owners are good at that. Some gallery owners will say, no, that doesn't meet our look. Other gallery owners will say, I really like it. I'm willing to take a chance on putting work into my gallery. And so, I think it depends on the personality and the success of the gallery. There are smaller galleries that probably would take in a lesser known artist. Some of the more established galleries are going to, unless your work is going to stand out head and shoulders, in all likelihood, you're going to be scouting around for a lesser, we call them B galleries, but perhaps not everybody is going to get into an A-list gallery. But I think that what I'm trying to say at the outset is that the work has to be professional. So I don't care what your subject matter is. I don't care, what you're doing. I care that it looks professional enough for a gallery owner to give you a nod and give you a chance and say, okay, you don't have that much exposure, but I'm willing to give you a shot at it. So the work just has to be good, period.
So how many artists are generally in a gallery, in a commercial gallery, relative to their size, I guess? But so in other words, an artist goes into a gallery. The gallery says we're already full. We have a full roster. What do they consider a full roster for their so-called stable of artists?
So that's a good question, Paul. And I think some rosters are extensive. Some in some galleries, they carry 50 or 60 artists, if not more, into their gallery. I'm not sure that a gallery really can do justice to 60 artists and really be able to sell for them. I think what makes more sense is that a gallery perhaps takes in a maximum of 30 or 35 artists, where they can really work closely with that artist to promote them in the best possible way, in order to give them justice.
Yeah.
London calling. Actually, that's an art gallery calling.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. On the hot list.
So yeah, I mean, I think I've seen some galleries where they take in a lot of artists into their roster, and unfortunately, a lot of the artwork sits in the back room. So
that's the problem, isn't it?
Right.
You'll work your tail off to get into a gallery, and the gallery doesn't want to let you go. They have no place to store. They have to store it, basically. They can't show it everything. And I think a gallery, I mean, as an artist, you want to have a show. If you've got anything, at least every 2 years, you've got to maybe have an opportunity to have a showing. How many shows a year would a gallery have, like on a rotation? How many?
So again, some galleries will have a show every 2 weeks. Some galleries will have a show every 6 weeks. And some galleries will rotate the art on their walls regularly in order to make their gallery more appealing to their clients. So I think 2 weeks is a pretty short period of time to really do justice to the artist. I think I would be more comfortable to have a show run for 6 weeks. And I think it's always beneficial to be able to invite the artist in and let the artist intermingle with the crowd, so that, people like to talk to an artist. They like to talk to the artist directly. And so I think that a good rule of thumb would be that you look for an artist that would have a 6-week show. You don't want a show to run for 4 months or 5 months. There's something wrong. There's something wrong there if that's happening.
Yeah, the commercial galleries I've seen, it's rare that you'd ever get a 6-week run. They're usually 2 weeks and they're rotating the stock, even if you're a high profile artist, because they figure get a, poop or get off the pot, as they say, whether you want to buy that work or not. So they create some kind of urgency at the gallery end to purchase this work, and then they move on to the next artist. So that's kind of a rule of. And usually, is it kind of good that they would have a gallery members show somewhere, usually in the summertime, or do they switch up their programming a little bit, so they're not just solo show or dual shows, but they actually have a group show?
Well, I think
Companion?
I don't know whether it would cater specifically to their member roster, Paul. I think what a lot of galleries are doing right now in order to recruit new talent is that they are putting out a call for, say, a square foot show, or they're putting out a call for a theme, or they're putting out a call for a certain size of painting. And this way, they take a look at the submissions that they receive, and often, of course, the artists that are in their gallery are going to have first dibs at getting in. But I think it is a way for galleries to recruit new talent. I know of a particular gallery up north where she will put a call out to a theme, and she will then put the exhibition together, and she will ask the public to have a People's Choice Award. So whoever wins the People's Choice Award, even if they're not represented in her gallery, she will say, okay, enough people like this work, I'm prepared to take this artist into my gallery. So there's a lot of that going on now, where it is that recruitment process where, let's face it, some of the square foot shows that are going on, they get hundreds of submissions, and they're very successful. And it is a way for a gallery owner to become familiar to perhaps some artist that's doing some really fantastic things that hasn't been recognized before.
Yeah. Actually, I was just watching a social media clip with Damien Hirst, and he had, walking through, I guess it's his studio warehouse that he has, there had to be 4 full walls of paintings of blossoms. Everything pretty much looked the same, floor to ceiling. This stuff was being launched today in the galleries, so all the art basically looked the same, like hundreds of them. And I'm sure he didn't paint them all, but I'm just saying, you've got this happens as well. The gallery is, I'm sure this is going to more than one gallery. He's shipping these, so it's kind of a themed thing that he's going through, but that's the way he does things. But it's just an observation from my end as to what a gallery can do and what they want to do. Now, I don't know if a gallery would be brave enough to do that kind of a show, whether in Ontario or BC, for that kind of thing. But it was an observation at my point, from a gallery's perspective of what they were doing.
That happens sometimes, Paul, where if they really get a good vibe off of an artist, and if they do have, as you say, do they have enough work? Do they have 15 or 20 paintings in inventory, that they could do something like that? I don't think that is unheard of, but I think that, again, when we're talking about the artist's work and the artist's personality or their presentation, it is a package deal. So your artwork has to be great, but your personality also has to be agreeable, and you need to present well. Not all artists do by any stretch of the imagination. There's lots of artists that follow the archetypal type of the funky, starving artist, and perhaps there's some appeal to that. But
I think there is, yeah.
And that's cool. I mean, not everybody has to fit into a neat and tidy mold, but I think there has to be enough of a backstory and something of interest that the gallery can hang on if it was, say, Damien Hirst, let's just go bigger and talk about it. Damien's got such a backstory that there's lots of selling features for the gallery to work with.
Yeah.
Kent Monkman, some of the high flyers in Canada who have built an enormous body of work based on a story. And the stories can be controversial, they can be provocative, whatever the stories are, but the story has to be there in order for the gallery to make some headway in doing a public exhibition.
And I think in the buyers and the high end buyers, they don't want something bland. A lot of times they want something a little out there, like a movie star or some of those different things. They want something that reflects their personality. They can make these tough decisions on this aggressive painting. They're willing to have that in there, and they'll pay for it. So that's one demographic. I mean, it might be a small demographic, but it might be large relative to the type of gallery that has high-end collectors as part of their gallery.
But Paul, I think every artist has a backstory.
They do.
And I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of artists, and everybody has a story. And some stories are actually quite riveting and quite fascinating. And very often artists don't think to promote themselves in that way. Maybe they were a pilot. Maybe they were who knows what. Maybe they were scientists creating something. I know a gallery owner in Waterloo who was an engineer, and she decided that she wanted to set up an art gallery. So her backstory is extensive, and I would hazard to say most artists do have a backstory that is of interest, and you just have to be able to create a bit of a fairy tale. You have to create the charisma and bring out the excitement for the artist, for them to get recognized.
Yeah, I think that's what you do. You help them bring that out, and that gets presented to the gallery that's looking for, like you said, oh, this person, I can hang some clothes on this one. This one looks like it's going to be able, it is different than the others in the gallery, the other artists that are there. So I think those things are important to understand. So the gallery is looking for that. They're looking for that storyline. They're looking for, I think that comes down to the confidence level as well. Are you confident to talk about yourself? And that comes across almost immediately when you come in the front door, when let's have a meeting, and you have to have that conveyed, that feeling. And that portfolio might be under your arm, and it might have already been there. You're there to pick it up and have a conversation, which is, it's good. They're willing to say, we want your work here, come back in and we're going to have an interview. So is that kind of the process that might happen? Come back later and we'll have a conversation?
It depends, Paul. It depends. It depends on the moment. It depends on if the gallery owner is in a right headspace at the right time, that they're not running around hanging a show, or they're busy with a client, or whatever it happens to be. If it's the right time, and I know I've seen this in action, where some artists will walk in, shoulders hunched, very kind of quiet and timid. They're intimidated, and they walk in and they say, here's my portfolio, and I know you're probably not taking on any new artists right now, but here's my work. The flip side of that is somebody walks in, they're confident, they shake hands with the gallery owner, they say, great to meet you, you run a great gallery here, I'm really impressed with how your gallery works, and you as a gallery owner, you're savvy. I followed you on social media for quite some time now, and I'm delighted that you've agreed to see my body of work. Here it is, and if the gallery owner is going to take the time to look at it right then and there, great. If they're not, and they say, can you leave this with me for a week or whatever, absolutely, no problem. If you have any questions, please reach out and contact me. And I am as interested in having my work sold in your gallery as you are. So I am prepared to do my bit. I'm prepared to promote my work on my social media that is in your gallery. And it really is a bridge. It is a nice relationship that's built on trust, integrity, and openness. So you never want to piss off a gallery owner. You never want to undersell them. You don't want to do any tricks. You don't want to have a client that you're going to give a cheaper price to than the price that's in the gallery. You never want to undermine your relationship with a gallery. It's very important, and they're taking you on for a reason, right? So you need to do your part in honoring that relationship.
Yeah, there's it's a small world, the gallery world as well, and you understand these people all know each other, and if they're part of the gallery associations, they go to annual meetings and different things, and they know who's on whose roster, and they know what artists are what. Um, Now we talked about how much is enough work for a gallery when you come in for that. You might the presentation and how many would actually be left behind for the gallery if you went in. How many do they need from an artist to start off with?
I would say I would say a minimum of 10. It depends, though, how much space there is in the gallery and how willing they are. Maybe they're hanging 3 pieces at a time, and but they're going to keep the other pieces in reserve. And this is why it's important for artists to build up an inventory. Like, you know what? If a painting gets sold and there's not any other paintings to fall back on, and the gallery owner calls the artist and says, hey, I need a couple more paintings from you. And the artist goes, oh, geez, I'm really sorry. Can you give me a week or 2 weeks? Again, not a favorable impression for a gallery to want to hear, yeah, I'm going to wait now for your work.
So do some galleries say, okay, we have 10 pieces that we got, but we like the 5 other ones that you brought in, but we have no room for them. Can we put them on our website, those 5 images, and you hold them, take them back home and keep them there and hold. We don't have space for them, but we'll try and sell them off of the website as part of your body of work. So they can increase the body of work to 15 pieces and show 10 to start with. Is that what some of them are doing?
Yes, and I think that's a good plan. Again, this comes down to conversations that an artist is going to have with the gallery. So, how does the gallery feel about an artist putting their work on social media and selling their work off of social media? This becomes really dicey. And for some artists, they are so loyal to the gallery that represents them that if they have a buyer, and let's just say they don't know that or okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody says, hey, I was in this Toronto gallery and I saw your work there and I love it, but I didn't see what I like. But I noticed on your website that you have something that I might be interested in. What happens? Well, some artists will say, okay, you saw the work in that particular gallery, therefore I'm going to give 50% of the commission to the gallery because technically it's their client. Now, that's all well and good. But some artists don't feel that way, and they say, hey, why should I give the gallery 50% when I'm selling this out of my own studio? Well, if you're in a smaller center, you never know. So let's just say that person returns back to the art gallery and says, hey, I bought a piece from Paul Constable off of his website. And the gallery owner might say, oh, that's interesting. What did you pay for it? Oh, I paid less than what you're advertising in here. That is not a good way to establish a trusting relationship with a gallery. So I think it's a very fine line, Paul. Honestly, I do. I think commissions are another fine line. If a gallery's client wants to do a commission, and how does it work with the artist? So I hear all kinds of stories. Some galleries will take 50% commission off of a commission. Some will take a lesser percentage. But these are the details that have to be worked out with the gallery owner ahead of time. You don't want to get into a situation where all of a sudden you say, yeah, I'll do a commission, and the gallery takes 50%. And then you say, hey, but what? I worked with the client. I did all the work. Why are you guys taking 50%?
Yeah. I know is there a sliding scale on some of this a little bit for like the price that you're paying, but also say you're a fairly well-known artist, which you are a draw in itself, right? Say there's this commission for a portrait. It's come through the gallery, and they want this one artist to do it. They said, but you're saying the gallery may want 50% for the finder's fee for that. But the artist is doing all the work, the managing it, the account. You'd think that it would actually go through the gallery and they would be doing the managing of the finances, the collecting of the money, and the distribution. The artist is just doing the work based on the information given to them to finish to complete. But I know some artists, so work sells for $100, but some artists sell for thousands of dollars. Is there a sliding scale? So guys who sell for, say, $20,000 a painting, do they pay less than 50% to the gallery? Does it slide down a little bit due to the price that it's being sold for?
I've never heard of any gallery taking less than 40% off of a commission. So I think they feel that, the artist is in their gallery. They are continuing to promote that artist's work. Yes, it's a commission, but I'm pretty sure most gallery owners that I've spoken to would say they definitely feel that they want to take a commission, and anybody taking a 25% commission would be rare.
And I didn't say to go to 25. I just said the price might go from 50 to 40%, for instance, for someone who's selling like major, like you start selling work for $100,000, and you're going to give up $50,000 in commissions. This is where the angst comes in. This is where the artist gets, okay, I'm going to switch galleries. So you have to keep the communication line open and talk about things like that. If you get to those, the only reason maybe you got to that level is because you're in the gallery to start with. But giving 50% of $100 is very different than giving 50% of $100,000.
I would imagine for those artists that are selling at 100,000, they have hammered out a very tight legal contract about how that would all work.
Yeah.
I can't imagine an established artist losing 50% of their work. And I can't imagine that a gallery would want to lose an established artist who sells well.
Exactly.
So I think that it is a conversation that would have to happen before a paintbrush even gets put to a canvas.
Yeah. So this is things that artists think about. I mean, you don't step in on day one with anybody like this, but I think when major artists switch galleries, and it's usually financial reasons or whatever, that's why they switch. When that major artist steps into a new gallery situation, they would renegotiate the contract as to find some common ground that they're willing to accept. Knowing that you're bringing a clientele to that gallery to start with, that maybe they didn't have, that they want, that's worth something as well. So is it a 50-50 anymore? So it's something, I just said it's pie in the sky, and we're talking about the gallery perspective to the artist as well right now today. So So are these, when we got up here, we got a few questions, a question, where have you shown before? Is that important? Is that important to a gallery?
Absolutely. And so you should have, hopefully, some kind of a track record. And if you are selling off of your own social media presence, you need to make sure that you're putting your souls up there. Your CV or your artist statement, if you're asked to present an artist statement just for the body of work that you're showing, um, then absolutely you should be mentioning, this body of work has been shown at X or Y, and here's my track record of sales. And you should expect to have that question asked of you. And so what happens to the poor artist that doesn't have a track record? They're not going for the top galleries in the country. They are going to have to put in their 10,000 hours just like everybody else. And they're going to have to start at a smaller level and sell and promote themselves and have some kind of a track record. I mean, really, from a gallery point of view, um, really, in this economic climate, are they really prepared to take on a complete unknown that hasn't sold a darn thing? Um, my guess is I don't think so, unless your artwork is exceptional, your backstory is good, your storytelling is good, and you look like the kind of artist that they want to have in their gallery.
Yeah. Yeah, it's first impressions are really important, but I think we can create those kind of things on social media as well. So you can't say that galleries are not following certain artists. They are
Oh, huge,
all the time. They're
all the
looking.
time.
So does a gallery look for someone from away, for instance?
Absolutely.
So in other words, they don't want say the competition of a local artist in a local gallery. He's saying because he could be in any other gallery as well. He said, I would like somebody that's unique and fresh and from away. We would then have them basically as an artist for our market. Is that something that they consider as an advantage?
Absolutely. And in a way, I think that's very savvy of a gallery owner to do that. I mean, why not bring in an artist from BC into Nova Scotia? I mean, the even the subject matter, the whole presentation looks entirely different, and it creates interest in your gallery, and it creates interest for your people that are wandering in your gallery, and you're saying, oh, this artist is from BC, and so I think that it's a super idea. And further to that, Paul, I have worked with several artists who now have gone international. And that's a whole different animal. And, we probably don't have time to get into some of the nuts and bolts and the pitfalls about that. But there are ways of getting into international markets, as long as you do your research. And just think, if you got into a market in Korea and you were painting Canadian landscape, I think that you would probably um, have a very good shot at selling because your work is so different
Yeah.
from what local Korean artists are doing.
There
So,
always has been a kind of a demand for Western style art
yes,
in Asia, right from
yes,
the early days. I mean, the early days of copyists that were copying Western art. Um, but I think I lost my train of thought, but listening what I was going to ask a question. But I think that is a good thing, though. I think we are probably it would be good to have an international conversation as well on how to go about that process. But maybe there'll be a future show that people
sure.
can look forward to that. So building your own following, I think, is important on those followings, social media, to put those hashtags for your art gallery that you're being represented by, and that work is so you promote that gallery on your social media, and that tells other people that you are being shown in that gallery. I mean, it's as important for you as it is for the gallery to see that you are, because that shows up on their phone right away. Oh, there's a hashtag and I've been tagged. That shows that that new person that we just got is now promoting us on her feed or his feed. So there is this spider thing that happens, and we do appreciate that. And I do appreciate all the time when artists put our brand on their website or mention us in a hashtag as well. And I see that pop up, and I say I appreciate that. I mean I understand, and we do the same as best we can as well. Just do the volume that we go through, but we do promote on our platform, of which I'll plug again. We are going to become a little bit of an online gallery, and we're starting in November. Our members will be having a member show on November 23rd to the 10th of December for a 2-week run. And so, if you're a member, you'll get some information sent to you, and you'll be able to see us and plug it like crazy. And I think as an online gallery, we're hoping that our brand will be a trusted brand in our following, and our following is growing. So I appreciate that. I think there's a famous guy. He just popped into my page.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny, Paul. There is a documentary out about him. Have you watched it?
Oh, maybe.
It's not a good story, actually. It's a story about an artist that was at the right place at the right time, capturing a style of art that was accessible to everyone. But his catch was that he was kind of a sexy guy. So when he painted a stroke on the canvas, he looked directly at the camera. His audience was predominantly women, and so he caught hold. But unfortunately, the poor guy was taken advantage of by an agent. The bigger he got, the more unscrupulous the agent became. And there was lots of problems with his artwork actually not going to his son, and it ended up in other hands. And
oh dear, yeah.
So Bob Ross is a sort of a modest guy who, was he painting great things? Perhaps not, but there you go. He had a bit of charisma. He was at the right place at the right time. He was on TV. He was just, was he painting masterpieces? I don't think so. But there he was, creating his own brand, which caught on like crazy.
Yeah, and I think we use it in tongue in cheek a little bit, but I think it's that marketing aspect. That's what this is kind of about, and it's like you don't have to be the best artist in the world to be well known and make a living. You just have to be a little smarter than those other guys who say, I won't do that, or I won't dress up like that. I won't go and do that little cheesy show. Some guys are willing to do all those things. And, you get the Justin Bieber who became famous because of YouTube. Where did that come from? They said that was just plain initiative and hard work and cheesiness and whatever it took to get the job done, and he got it done. So we're not saying because you can't paint, it just means if you can't paint, then you have to do something else better. And unfortunately, there's a lot of really good painters out there, and there are probably more painters in the market than there's ever been in the market. But in a gallery situation, are they looking for? They're looking for full-time artists, or are they looking for part-time artist? I guess, and I'll call a part-time artist is someone who can't make a living selling art, but has another job on the side to augment their income. They might have a couple of galleries. They paint well. Is that generally the kind of thing that fills a roster out right now?
Well, I think you've raised a really good point here in that, you've talked about education. So lots of artists that I work with will claim that they're self-taught. and they say this really sheepishly. They say it with hesitation, like, oh, I don't have a BFA or I don't have an MFA. And I'll say, I don't care, really and truthfully about that. What I care about is that your work is good enough to be presented into a gallery. So if you're not a full-time artist, I don't care, as long as you're producing quality work. But for those artists that are self-taught, there are very few artists that just happen to be naturally gifted. There are some, I've worked with some, believe me, some that are just naturally gifted. They feel it, they know it, they trust it. They trust their instinct. They've got the magic touch. They're
Yeah.
few and far between.
Yeah.
And so really it is a matter of, you don't have to go to university or college to get your education. There's so much available now, virtually. But I do think it's important, as I said, you know, I don't want you to become a slave or a disciple to one person, but I do think you need to take time to understand color composition, color theory, harmony, how to work with brush strokes, what kind of paints you use. You need to understand those fundamentals in order for you to produce a decent painting.
So do you help artists with that, to say, okay, I've got a full-time family, I work full-time, I'd like to paint on weekends, and this person paints well, and you say, well, you need some education, and where do you, might be workshops, and it might be certain mentoring by certain artists if you needed to figure out something, and so maybe you have a 2 or 3 year plan to get into a goal. Do you do those kind of things? Is that what you kind of do with people every day?
Well, I do get clients that say to me, I'm still working full time. And when I begin to talk to them about how much time are you dedicating in your studio, you know, if they're in their studio on a Saturday for 4 hours and that's the best they can give, even though they do have a 2 year goal, it's going to take them a long time to get to where they need to go to.
Right.
So I think, and particularly now, because artists are being forced to do so many other things other than painting. They are being forced to network and to do social media and promote themselves and do all of those other things, which are time consuming. I mean, this guy doesn't have to promote himself. He can be the crappiest painter in the world, and it doesn't matter. He's just got his shtick going, right? And his work sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It doesn't matter. He could do a stroke down a canvas and people would say, oh my God, that's by Johnny Depp. I want that.
Yeah, I think it's his following that is buying it up too. He's got a.
But look at his persona. Like when you look at that picture and you look at his persona, here he is, right? He's a sexy guy. You know, his shirt is a little bit open. He looks the part. He's got his paintbrushes there. And so it is a bit of theater. It is about the story. It is about, you know, how you're going to present yourself in the public. And I don't care, Paul, as I said, whether you're a guy with, you know, braided hair down your back or a woman that, you know, is grunge or disheveled or whatever. I don't care about that. I care about the quality of work that is presented. That, for me, that's everything. And if you're not there, sure, I'm happy to have sessions with artists to say, what about this? Maybe you need to change that. Here's your overall presence, that what I'm seeing. I'm neutral. I have no vested interest in whether, you know, I like you as a person. My role as an art consultant is to take you to a higher place, to where you need to go so that you can sell your work.
Right.
So that's, you know, that's just how the world works.
Yeah, so we're talking about this artist statement, and I guess this is a kind of important to the gallery. This is part of your story, and we've kind of gone a little bit full circle. I don't think any of Johnny's brushes are dirty. Uh, anyway, and those tubes I don't think have ever been squeezed. It's a little bit of theater, but not well done. So he's the actor in this photo. But I think it's important that people, artists, hire a good photographer to come in your studio and set up a vertical and a horizontal situation for your work that you can put on your website. And that persona should follow you when you walk in the door of the gallery. There's a continuity between your online and what kind of things you post. The gallery likes to be associated with positive things that you post that are in their gallery, that they're attached to by a tag. Um, this could look great in a artist statement binder that is left with them. Your history in that, and you say, well, she's not here with us right now, but this is her picture. You'll recognize her, and she's known for drinking coffee, and she's sitting in the coffee shop having a coffee with her art in the coffee shop. I'm just saying there's a scenario that bring it and tie it together, right? So the gallery gets a sense that you have got your stuff together. Like you are marketing your stuff. I want you as part of my gallery because you got your act together. By the way, I like what you're doing. Can you help me get my other artists in a row because they're not doing what you're doing, right? So that's when you move the needle. Like you really think of yourself as a package a little bit, and I think you help artists do that. I think it's important that your role is key to somebody's career. Artists are like cats. We're kind of they're not like dogs. We're more like cats, and we explore and we do different things, and we've got our own mind. And sometimes we run off in the wrong direction. Quite often, we follow a pathway, and you realize, how do I get back onto the main road where I need to be on? Not understanding. Don't cover up the road that you've been on. That exploratory road. You need to be able to access that, but understanding that the main corridor is where you need to be. If you're going to have enough people find you, to talk about you, to tell other people about you, to buy your artwork, for the art gallery to find you. And then when they see your credibility and how you present yourself, they say, this is a potentially good person. If this person walked through our door, it'd probably be at the top of our pile. I'm not saying they would make it, but it'll be a keeper for round like 2. And if we request this person ask, I know a number of artists that in Saskatchewan that are now showing in London, Ontario, and you're kind of wondering, where did these artists find this gallery in London, Ontario? And now they're doing well, and they're the right fit for the gallery and in the mix, and they're from away, and they present a prairie presence.
There's lots of artists, Paul, from the West that are showing in Ontario galleries.
Right. Yeah.
And I think some really simple things that can be done is, like, for example, on your social media profile, that little wee round thing where you should have your picture there. Some people are afraid to put their picture on there. Some people are timid to do a reel to introduce themselves. They're very nervous and apprehensive about that. But it's the simple things which matter. So, at a bare minimum, you can put out a small reel, a clip, whatever you're going to do. Let somebody hear your voice. Let somebody see that you're friendly, that you can carry on some kind of a conversation. And a gallery will pick up on that and take a look at the reel and go, hey, looks great. Looks like the person has a good story. I'm going to follow along with them for a little while and see what they're up to. If they stay consistent with what they're doing, I'm going to approach them and give them a shot.
Yeah. Well, I think we did it. We touched on it. We didn't talk about everything, but it's hard to do that. Leave some room for other conversations. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today, and Joanne for helping us walk our way through this the gallery existence, like the presence of a gallery in front of an artist, and it can be intimidating to an artist to walk through those doors, not as a client, but just to walk through and try to present themselves. Am I fit? Can I fit in with these ones? Can I make a difference? Can I stand out? Can I make a? I think you need to take those chances.
You
And
know,
thank
Paul,
you.
there's always a level of insecurity with every artist that I've ever met.
There is.
It is in their DNA, that they doubt themselves, or they doubt their artwork, or they're feeling that their artwork isn't good enough compared to others. But you know, it is a matter of walking through those doors and meeting the gallery owner, and feeling within yourself, yep, I really like what I'm doing. I feel good about my work, and that's where the conversation starts.
Well, that's great. Okay, thank you again, Joanne. We'll end on this note, and we will talk again. We've got lots to talk about for artists here, and in the next month or two, we'll put another couple of programs together that we can help artists with, and in guiding them where through what they can do. I mean, it's a difficult choice. Again, you have a great day, and
Thank you, Paul.
thank you,
Always,
everyone.
always
Follow
a
all the
pleasure.
links. Yeah, follow all the
Thank you.
links to Joanne, and feel free to reach out to her, and she'll talk to you on a personal basis.
Thank you.